The Department of Justice lawyers in the Trump administration have had to make some very embarrassing filings, that would be putting it lightly. And there could be major repercussions as to factual misrepresentations, aka lies, that they made to federal judges. We've been covering here, Harry Litman and us here at the MeidasTouch Network, Harry Litman on the Talking Feds podcast, the tsunami of cases that have been filed against the Trump administration for all of these patently, egregiously unlawful executive orders that Donald Trump has been signing, shutting down agencies, cutting off funding where Congress has clearly appropriated the funds, gutting staff, firing people without appropriate diligence and without appropriate cause. I mean, there's been a lot of horrific actions, but some powerful lawsuits, some orders by judges. And when these filings happen, just to situate everybody, there are often emergency hearings that are held. And these hearings take place in court or via conference call, depending on the hearing, but often in a courtroom. And the judge, whether they're Democratic appointed, Republican appointed, Trump appointed judges, they ask the lawyers questions. Now, Harry Litman worked in the Department of Justice. He was a top leader at the DOJ. Harry Litman was also a top federal prosecutor, the top federal prosecutor in the Western District of Pennsylvania. So it's not uncommon, though, that at the DOJ, you would get called in for emergency hearings, and you've got to know the facts. So you go to the source of the facts, the agency heads, certain people, and you got to damn well make sure that when you're making representations to judges, as the lawyer, you have your facts straight, because every time you step into the court, whether you're a private lawyer or a government lawyer, you have something called a bar license, and you have to be candid. You have a duty of candor, duties of diligence with the court. Yes, I know that Donald Trump is a felon. Yes, I know that Elon Musk is an online agitator and engages in horrific conduct. Lawyers have licenses. And I want to talk about these notices of corrections that we're seeing filed now, where these lawyers have admitted that they are lying. So you have a notice of correction filed in the case involving USAID on the critical issue, where the DOJ had acknowledged that it made two significant errors during the court hearing last week on efforts to dismantle USAID. One, it said only 500 employees had been placed on leave when the actual number was 2,140. It's a significant difference right there. And here was the key issue that Judge Carl Nichols, by the way, a Trump-appointed judge, was drilling into, because the DOJ said only future contracts were stopped. Existing contracts, though, were also stopped. Why that's the key issue is because I guess technically the administration can say, hey, the new administration's changing protocols going forward. They have no right to stop past programs where appropriations were already made. That was the key issue. The plaintiffs' lawyers, the AGs and the plaintiffs' lawyers, they all stepped, the lawyers representing the USAID employees said, that's not true. They're canceling the old stuff. The Trump lawyers said, no, it's just the future stuff we're being told. That was a lie. Fortunately, the federal judge, Carl Nichols, saw through that lie, but that was a material misrepresentation. Then there was the other notice of correction that they filed on another key issue in another case about the access that one of these Elon Musk 22-year-old guys, I think this one was calling himself Big Balls, that they were basically saying that he didn't have certain levels of access. It turns out he had levels of access. Let me just read it to you. At the hearing on February 5th, 2025, held the same day as plaintiff's motion for temporary restraining order that was filed in the above captioned case, counsel for defendants made a factual representation in good faith based on the information provided by defendants that requires correction. With the benefit of more time to investigate the facts over the weekend, defendants came to understand that Marco Velez, who at the time of the hearing was employed by the Department of Treasury, had not in fact been designated by the Treasury Department as a special government employee, SGE, as counsel stated at the February 5 hearing. Mr. Velez was, however, a Treasury Department employee. That has significant impacts because then Velez is subject to certain ethics requirements that were at the heart of it. So, Harry, These are not notices of errata, right? You and I know notices of errata. You get the date wrong occasionally, maybe there's a typo. These material misstatements, Harry, you led the DOJ, you were a leader there. What do you make of all of this?
Man, oh man. So Ben, you're right. I did have these higher level positions, but the real analogous experience is the guy on the ground who has to go into court. And man, you gotta pity those figures now. I'm not sure that they're huge misstatements that go to the heart of the case, but it may be that the poor putz who was kicked in the rear and said, go in there and defend, didn't know one way or another, though obviously should have been much more careful. But it's so discordant in a couple ways with what's really going on. First, on the facts, the guy doesn't even know. The person who does what is supposed to be the heart and soul, meat and potatoes, the work of the Department of Justice, representing to the court and to the public what's going on. And then second, there's only one thing you can do when you're in that very unenviable position. That is fall on your sword and fall on it hard. And that's what these lawyers are doing, but it's completely opposite from what the Trump guys are doing, because they are arrogant as can be about it in asserting their authority and indifference to the legal violations that the people, when they go to court in front of the judges, have to fess up to. So it is a general problem now in the Department of Justice, where as I've said before, the barbarians aren't just at the gates, they are ransacking the actual palace. And you have to send in the lawyers to say crap, but they don't even know what it is they're supposed to say. They don't know what the policies are, because nobody consults them. Nobody cares about what the Department of Justice has to say to courts, of all things. Rather, it's just the policies coming on from on high from Trump and then his acting Deputy Attorney General, Emil Bove. So it is just what's happening now in the department, Ben, is just an utter divorce from the lifeblood of what prosecutors do, which is base decisions on facts and law. It's something other than that. They were candid in saying it, for example, and dropping the charges, although we'll see whether the career person now acting U.S. attorney in New York goes along. But it's just a really complete reversal of what they're supposed to be doing. It's both heartbreaking and infuriating and totally terrifying for the people who are still there, who don't know what to do. These are the few lucky ones who are being kicked into court and say, try to defend this, say some crap, and then you find out, of course, 2 days later, what you told them was exactly wrong. So, in general, this is part and parcel of a broader effort by the new Trump invaders, not simply to enact all these really unlawful provisions, but also prevent all the kinds of guardrails and oversight and accountability, and just to care about what ought to be the DNA of the department, going in, explaining to the judges, making arguments under the law. That's an afterthought at best. We can only hope it stays that way for these new invaders in the department. This is far and away the worst juncture and period for the DOJ in its history.
We talk about the executive branch and the take care clause, take care that the laws be faithfully executed. That's the opposite of what they're doing. The Trump White House halted all enforcement of the law, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, right, which is to stop foreign bribery from embedding itself in American business. The law, to be faithfully executed, requires that the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, a law, be enforced. And Trump's literally saying, don't enforce it. When the law is trying to be enforced against someone like Mayor Adams in a bribery-related case, without even doing legal analysis, as you mentioned, Trump's DOJ prepares a memo to the United States Attorney or acting United States Attorney in the Southern District of New York or in New York, basically saying, hey, do not faithfully follow the law, and we're not even going to give you a reason. We're not giving you a memo that says Maine Justice reviewed this case and it turns out that it's a bad case because here are the reasons, or there's bad law or something. No, it's just, we want you to dismiss it, even if crimes were obviously committed. So now it puts that United States Attorney, acting U.S. Attorney, but that whole, New York prosecutor, all those prosecutors, they're being told, there's crimes, but you got to look away from the crimes. And that's what those lawyers, as we started this segment, the lawyers who are issuing notices of correction, you have lawyers who went to ostensibly good law schools or law schools throughout the country, who took their own oaths, who have obligations under their legal standards, and they're being asked now, lawyers violate the law. There are lawyers who are going to do it. There are lawyers who are not going to do it. I think, unfortunately, the ones who are attracted to Trump don't give a crap about that, but you're putting a lot of career people also at risk. Harry, last word.
Yeah, look, like the good teacher you are, Ben, you make it all sound basic and elementary, but you know why? It is basic and elementary. Congress passes the law saying if you want to remove them, you need for cause. Saying Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, we know that you can try to cheat like other folks do, but that's not what we want American companies to do, and the like. And Trump asserts again and again some ability or power out of nowhere because he won the election to just ignore it. Remember, the Republicans control everything here. If they really wanted to repeal the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, if they really wanted to shut down USAID, they could do it. But what's happening is they're making a real deal with the devil, where the Republicans in Congress don't have to take the immediate heat for doing something that is outrageous and bad for the country and makes victims here of the honest companies and just goes against who we are as a people. And Trump takes on that for them, and they in return stay cowed and quiet and do nothing. So we've talked before in a different YouTube about the court stepping up. Thank God they are, and you have to pray that it continue, because the other people, the people who are really again and again, their ox is being gored. Congress, which has said, do this, do that, and don't do this. Trump is just saying, giving them the middle finger, and they're saying, thank you, sir, may I have another. It is friggin' crazy.
There you have it, everybody. You know where I get my legal news from? It's from Harry Litman, the Talking Feds YouTube channel, the Talking Feds Substack, and the Talking Feds podcast. It'll probably take you all of 30 seconds to subscribe to all three, and it will inform you the way it informs me at these pivotal moments. Talking Feds YouTube, Talking Feds Substack, Talking Feds podcast. Harry Litman, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.